Ninja Turtles 4 film favorite classic collection, or something. The first 4 movies, that's basically the introduction. Gonna review each of the movies and then the DVDs. That's the gist of it. I want to mention the back of the case, which you get more into later, but the third one is rated swashbuckling violence and model language, but there's no language. And TMNT is rated for animated action violence, some scary cartoon images, and model language. There's even less language in the third one. It doesn't really have to stress it's animated, but that's incredibly obvious. And also, this part is just really wrong for no reason. It says it's double-sided, so there's probably an original edition. Speaking of double-sided, there's another version with the 25th anniversary with the same thing, just that it's green, and it contains a double-sided edition of this, which we'll get into when we talk about the DVDs. So the first movie is obviously the original classic. It's great. It has great character development, great story, and it's just all around great. This movie is the perfect way to do Ninja Turtles movie. It's the highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes, but it only has 40% stupid critics. So yeah, anyway, this movie is great, and it's the perfect balance between seriousness and also lighthearted comedic moments. Speaking of which, the first draft of the script was originally written by Bobby Herbeck. He was credited as one of the writers, and also credited as a person who did the story. Todd W. Lincoln was brought in to make it have a lighter tone, so yeah, that's something. They never ever met or communicated to each other during the production. They never met until the movie premiere, so that's something. Anyway, this movie is great, and any Ninja Turtles fans should watch this movie because if you hadn't, you're an idiot. Nah. Ninja Turtles: The Secret of the Years. Yeah, I'm really nostalgic for the movie. I'm a 2010s kid and nostalgic for early 90s movie. It's so wacky. Nah. Anyway, I really love this movie. Not just because of nostalgia, because he owned this really crackly old DVD that skips a lot and the case is all broken. But the horribleness of the back art of the DVD gives me nostalgia floods. Wait, is that a thing that people say? Well, no, the point of the movie is great. I like the campiness and the stupidity. And yeah, the first two work in different ways. But this one works for the campiness and stupidity. And yeah, not really for the character development or anything. But I do really think that the movie is great. It's also really funny. And also it advances the story, with there being new mutants added, Toka and Razor. Which, by the way, the only reason they were used to the Bebop and Rocksteady was because the creators didn't allow it for some reason. So then they created 2 new mutants, which will later be featured in the TV series. So that's something. So yeah, overall great movie and a great continuation to the first. This movie is just the epitome of trash, and literally everybody who's into Total fan knows this. And yeah, this movie just sucks so hard, and I really thought it was just because of the really horrible animatronics and just it looking like garbage. But no, there's a bunch of other problems. One thing, the story is just dumb, and yeah, people also link it to this Ninja Turtles NES game that was released called Turtles in Time. That's only because it carries the crappy subtitle. Them traveling back to feudal Japan just makes no sense. The new events that they introduced are just so garbage and boring, so yeah. All the animatronics are just really horrible, and the movie is incredibly boring. Another thing that I wasn't really thinking about complaining about was that the sound editing is just trash. There's a bunch of random cartoon wacky sound effects all over the place. It's incredibly distracting and it's just so bad. Unsurprisingly, this movie was a huge fail critically and financially, and literally no one likes it. All of the designs up here just look really trashy. It looks like they have a weird, crappy animated filter all over the turtles, except for Michelangelo for some reason. That's something. Oh, and by the way, fun fact, since it relates to this movie, Corey Feldman voiced Donatello in the original, but didn't voice him in the second one because of some sort of drug abuse thing. Then he came back in this one, and it sounds bad. So, yeah. And this one, which has no relation to any of the other movies, so I'll just review this separately. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, fun fact, the movie was pitched, well, this one, was pitched to a variety of studios, including Viacom, which will later make their own movie, so that's dumb. And also Warner Brothers, which will later make their own movie, and they also own all these other movies, so that's even more dumb. Well, not as dumb, but that's what's just the point. This movie is good. The new animation and designs is good, so yeah, that's it. I overall do enjoy this movie, but the only thing that I dislike about it is that, well, there's just one small part, but before that random Raph and Leo battle sequence thing, Raph is Leo is just randomly being an ass and talking about him being better than Raph, which literally never happened ever. But that's literally one small part. The villain of this movie is just so boring. And by the way, it's not Shredder, it's just some random guy called Max Winters. And I don't think he's based off any characters in the comics or anything. But I haven't researched it up, and also I don't really know anything about the comics besides them existing. But he doesn't really do anything. He just teams up with these random stone warriors and gets betrayed, but we barely care about it because we barely even know who the villain is, and there's no character development. It's so boring. And you might be thinking, well, Shredder has to be in it, but no, they just randomly say that he's defeated, and they don't even have like an animation or anything showing that they actually defeated Shredder. They just show a cheap-looking stock image from the internet of Shredder and talk about him defeating him in the crappy narration segment in the opening. That's it. Also, that random monsters concept coming from the portal all the way back in time where someone became immortal is kind of dumb. It doesn't really suit Ninja Turtles, but not really a huge problem. Just that the villain is really crappy and horrible.